All right, so I should be live because it always says going live. Yeah, now it says I'm live. But every time I've done that before, I'm always live right away. So YouTube, I hope you have that thing figured out, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so I was thinking, well, I forget what got me triggered onto this train of thought, but it's funny to use the word triggered, but the self-fulfilling prophecy of the hashtag MAGA movement. Just kind of wanted to get into like the dichotomy of it that I find within myself, which I think a lot of people in this country struggle with. So, I mean, I'm just going to talk from my experience, and then if there's like an extrapolation towards like everybody else, cool. Because I'm done trying to say I stand for a particular side, because every time I align with the right, you know, I, it's all an internal battle anyway, and whatever. Gonna get into it. So it all started with a hat. Obviously, the MAGA hat. Never bought one, but it's all based off the phrase "Make America Great Again." I'm not gonna get into the wording of it. Each word, "Make America Great Again," and everyone gets into what is great and what is again. It doesn't matter. To me, I always take it when I hear it. It sounds like the Alcoholics Anonymous, like their kind of mantra is the fact. It's like make America great again. It means like you were good, you are like a good person, you made a mistake, and now you're gonna get back to where you were originally good. It's actually a very in Alcoholics Anonymous AA has a very I don't know, Christian inspired basis in the sense that you the whole original sin kind of angle to it, that you're seeking redemption, that you believe that you're good, but you need to be reconciling through your action by making sure you're living properly and forthrightly. And so that's why I want to get into what the hat itself means. It becomes a symbol. And I think I saw something on the CNN might have made it, or somebody mainstream made this post about how, or this it was like a short YouTube video documentary about like where the hat arose from. And Trump himself thought of the idea. He picked the hat himself. I wanted to make sure the original ones were made in America, even though they started making copies from China that it's just people profiteering. But the original ones were made in America, and I watched that little documentary, and the people who were making it were very proud. And I mean, even if you want to take them as the benchmark for like the most proud of that hat someone can be, um, they made something, and they realized that for some people they were like healing the world, because that's I think the thing that makes the hat so inflammatory. The Make America Great hat. It's it symbolizes that there's something wrong, and I think a lot of people who are in the middle don't like to admit something was, or maybe whatever will be wrong with this country. It becomes a personal attack for some people. For some people, it becomes like a national attack. Some becomes like I don't know. Obviously, people break it down into different, like what part of that is offensive to them. And so all I'm saying is that I think the most constructive way you could take is just say that the hat is an offense to no one. It says that there are certain things wrong with this world. I'm going to acknowledge it, and from that assertion, say I'm going to do something to make it better. The thing I see about the other reaction, it's like the mirror image reflection of going and being constructive, making the hat an inspiration, being like something's wrong, I need to do something to make it better. Is the opposite. Say that hat is saying that there's something wrong. I don't want to think something wrong is wrong. Therefore, it's oppressive, it's offensive, whatever you want to say. And I mean, I can understand taking that point of view. I just don't see for your mental health that being a positive stance to be. And that's where I really bring it into my point of view. Is why I'm leaning right lately, just because obviously personal politics is an amorphous thing. It's not, I'm not right in every camp, but I think culturally speaking, I'm definitely on the right side, because all the talk I hear about the people who actually are moving and shaking things on the right is about growth, about hope, whenever you're making a choice, being more on the yes, being like, we can do this side of things, versus no, the world is stopping me. And that's really on a micro level what's kind of had me is I've been like, I need to work out and I'm not working out. I mean, I'm still working out, but just I'm not doing things as well as I can do. And like that's what kind of that's where it becomes like on a more biblical level is more a religious thing. It's like you being able to know what you're capable of, and that's what kind of the Make America Great social movement to me thing. It's the point of it, and I think it's what it accomplishes. Is it reminds people it's like you can be better than where we're at. Like yeah, you might be in a crappy place, but you can do better. You can lift yourself up out of it, and it's an inspiration to me. I think that's a good thing. Now, and this is where I'm just putting myself in where a naysayer would be, because I was a Bernie guy. I was, I thought I was pretty solid into socialism, but just seeing where the idea of being socialist takes people, I'm seeing is not a good place. And I'm always up for someone putting me in my place, tell me I'm wrong, but that hasn't happened enough. I'll put it that way, or it's been done in too emotional of a way that it didn't actually sway me long term. Maybe I felt with you. I think that's the problem with having an emotional argument. I'm really getting off the tangents here, but yeah, you need to have something with substance for me to remember, because whenever a political discourse comes into play, people will get these points of feel, these short term, like. I don't want to say something that's too, whatever. I'll just say go right for Kavanaugh. It's like, at the end of the day, it's not an unpopular, it's an unpopular opinion, but it's like, I don't know if that chick got raped. Don't know if she got whatever assaulted. I don't know what happened. But at the end of the day, I see she stands a lot more to gain, and he has a lot to lose versus the status quo of him being a good guy. And if you take the innocent until proven guilty side of things, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, this chick's about to get a book deal. I mean, I guarantee you she is not going to have to work for the rest of her life because she did this, whether it was true or not. And that's why I'm completely. It's a negative side of things too. It is. I do want to think that this world is a healing, growing place because, and here's where I want to segue back into the self-fulfilling prophecy of MAGA, is I think that culturally speaking, the United States has a big family problem. And the funny thing is, I just got off the phone with my family back home in Cleveland, and I realized that they're very important to me. That this world is real and good because they're in it to me. My friends, my family, like that's what tethers you. That's what keeps you from doing these insane things you see people chasing. People into restaurants and stuff, and I don't know, going after Tucker Carlson's house, like doing these are extremist actions. I don't think the standard person on the left or right is doing these things, but I think that stems from people not being connected to like a tribe, like your family, your friends, and I think what happens is when you don't have those friends and family connections, you don't have like a stake in this world. You don't have any skin in the game. You didn't bet. You don't have a bet in. So you're playing with house money. So yeah, everything is an option to you now. You can get a little more violent. The problem is, and this is where it becomes like a Marxist argument, where it gets really into the capitalism versus socialism debate that people have been having forever. Is the people who are oppressed, who have nothing to lose, are going to go against people who have the means to end things very quickly. And I think that's kind of culturally where we're at. Is it's like you have a lot of people who have no skin in the game trying to stir up a bunch of people who have all the skin in the game. They have the means. They don't want they don't want bridges burnt down. They don't want they want to make sure people are buying stuff. They want to make sure the market's good. That's one of the biggest misconceptions I found of conservatives, is that they're these crony capitalism is definitely a problem. But at the end of the day, like your small business owner, they want their community to be as best as possible. Yeah, they're going to jack up prices as high as they can to be making a profit. But that's, the art of being a good business is, being able to make a profit while being able to stay in the game in your community, in your region, whatever. Obviously, I'm going off on some tangents, but to me, it's just that's really the split I see on the left and the right. And really, I should have. I took some notes here, and yeah, it's probably not gonna be able to see. I did like a little split into how the hat, the MAGA itself is based off the hat, and then I broke down kind of the phrase, and then the fact that it's a symbol. It's either a symbol of oppression or inspiration is the way I look at it. Or you're just indifferent. You're just like, whatever, it's just a fucking hat. So it's a way for a guy to get his campaign going. But if you see it as a symbol of oppression, you're going to act in vengeance. You're going to see, because that hat is attacking you, you need to counteract it. The opposite is it's an inspiration. You see the hat or you wear the hat and you think, because I'm wearing this hat, I'm like a superhero to a point where I can do more. And I'm going to go off and do that. And I'm not going to bother anyone. In general, I'm sure there's some people who do. But you're going to go out and do something to make your community better, stronger, so that more people can get to the market. That's the idea of capitalism. And the opposite is where it's like, we need to break everything down so we can rebuild it. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. And I think it just comes from frustration that you don't have enough true power. And this is getting to be a full 11-minute tangent, but I think that's where a lot of very liberal by definition people who are thinking different than the tradition in the sense of liberalism are getting power in a way that hasn't happened in quite a while. Normally, societies tend to be a little more conservative, and I think with all the advent of technology and the way our civilization's kind of splintering into groups where you're having these, they talk about the coastal elites and the people in the city. That's a huge difference I'm witnessing here in Chicago. I won't say, when I first got here, I was very bitter and resentful. I want to think it was like people are good or bad. It's just different. It's just completely different. And it was my own insecurities I was projecting because I was saying these people are bad and I'm good. And it was my own insecurities projecting upon them. I realized these people are just undecided. They're just in the same place I am, but they just lean in a certain direction that annoys me. That's my problem. But I did realize that they move a little faster. They're getting more information. They're definitely a more anxious people because they're having more input to themselves. So their output has to be like equal and opposite. So like when you're getting all this CNN stuff, all this doom and gloom, it's going to come out in a different way. You got to project that in a way that's equal and opposite forces, which that doesn't sound good. When everyone's telling you the world's perfect, and then you see it's not. When you go on the news and everything's fine, everything's good, or the opposite, everything's doom and gloom. Trump is trying to take us down. You're gonna see that, and you're gonna virtue signal on the one side, or if you think this world is perfect without Trump, you're gonna think that your side is so great that you need to destroy what else is out there that's wrong. And that's just the side of the retribution of the broken world, is that you think that this world isn't worth saving, that you want to tear it down so you can build it back up. And that's really the split. I see the people who find a support in the MAGA movement and the red hat and the what it symbolizes, see it as a symbol of creation, about healing the world, about that. I just went to a Turning Point USA. I was supposed to be at DePaul University, but they didn't let them on campus. So I ended up being at a hotel here in the Loop, walking just not too far from where I live, right in the heart of downtown Chicago. And it was brilliant. It was an awesome event. Like there was a lot of security there. There's a ton of police. Nothing happened. Everyone was super nice to each other. I mean, there's different race. Like I don't know. I feel the need to like be making these observations so that people. And this is the irony of like the world we live in today. It's like I have to say there's Asian people, Black people there. It wasn't just white people, but like that shouldn't matter anyway. It was just the people in Chicago who showed up, and because Chicago's a diverse city, a bunch of people from different races ended up showing up, and they were all conservatives, and they're talking about how they are all kicking ass in their industry, great entrepreneurs, and I'm sure not everyone's perfect. Everyone's got skeletons in the closet, but like just everyone was in a really good mood and very nice to each other. That's an observation I can't deny. And I don't know, I'm being overly devil's advocate with myself every time I go on YouTube. I guess it's because I don't really have much of a following or response. That's another observation. I'm kind of trying to push what I'm doing based off what I see from Owen Benjamin. It's pretty cool because he can have more of an ego in a sense of the ego is representative of his audience, where he can get away with saying certain things because he knows his audience has already looked at his work. And, I'd say everyone is like that. But for Benjamin in particular, like if you just dropped in on one of his podcasts recently, and you're just kind of following the mainstream angle of things, you'd be like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Because there's a whole bunch of stuff that I've been paying attention from other people and him that it'd be concepts that are just kind of foreign to you. I mean, he'd break it down, but yeah, I'm being extremely vague and I'm hungry and I got my point across. So the whole point is have family, have friends, don't think the world's out to get you, because that's kind of where I was for a little while. And it's not constructive. It's a place that I put myself. I always like to say it's all about perception, but then I never take my own advice. So just need to make sure that here's the takeaway from what I've experienced myself and going back to the hat and the concept is it's like when you see something like the MAGA hat is picture a glass half full that most of the people wearing that hat are wearing it not as a form of oppressing you or spiting you, which I imagine I know there's some Trump supporters who wear the hat just to collect liberal tears. And quite frankly, that's the vindictive, necessary angle at times, but it's not the healing way. It's more about the inspiration, what it does to the person who's really in the pits of hell. Because that's the other thing. I guess I'm switching back, but when you see the MAGA hat, people in different parts of life, some people are really struggling. They really are, going back to the biblical symbology of hell, they're in a really bad spot. And the thing is, for a while, I've been putting myself in this like self-imposed hell that everything sucks. And yeah, it's all a matter of perception. As soon as I just start believing in the economy and the government and the people and whatever, nothing really changed. It's always been a good place. I just thought it was a bad one for a while. And I don't know, this video is, I guess, more my own advice than anyone else, but hopefully you enjoyed the ride. It's been 17 and a half minutes, so maybe I'll have to try this again when I actually work out a script, not just a couple scribbled notes I had after watching Dinesh D'Souza video. So it was good. I enjoyed it. Peace, people.